We continue our work at Ukraine Crisis Media Center. The topic is presentation of master's program named Curator of Contemporary Art. And I give the floor to Irenina Brudenko, program founder and curator, senior lecturer at the Dragomanov National Pedagogic University. Welcome. Good afternoon. Today, we are going to tell you about the program, master's program, Curator of Modern Arts, the program that was developed during the last several years at the Faculty of Philosophy at Cultural Department. And this is a specialization, and people can enter, those who have bachelor's degree, and Nadia Damenko is going to tell us about it. She is the Deputy Dean of the Faculty. And firstly, I would like to tell you about methodology, what we are going to study, in what way and why. So this course is the symbiosis of Western curatorial studies. This subject exists in the Western institutions and is directed at both theory and practice, critical thinking development, art critic, and practical tasks in expositioning, creating of curators' projects. And also, we are going to speak about national context of this case. We have our specificity, our background. We have our problems that we should discuss. That's why, about domestic context, we are going to speak about modern art in Ukraine, in what way it develops, what are the active actors of culture and modern art. We are going to speak about the problems, that is very important. Specialists of the specialty, we have hope that they will be able to overcome partly by these specialists. Also, there is a hope that we will welcome lecturers who will voice these problems we want to discuss with our students. And this will be done by the specialists, people to whom I give the floor. They worked for a year and they developed a program and special courses that will be the basis of this master's program. These are 5 major courses: history and modern arts, museum studies and archives, journalism and cultural management and fundraising. Each of the specialists who work in that spheres, they developed lecture materials, seminars, programs and workshops, and they work on the list of lecturers who will be invited in the framework of each course. So we focus on real actors, real players who will share their experience in the course of workshops and seminars. And the first special course, History and Theory of Curatorial Studies, and the first part it will be delivered by Lisa German. She is a curator. She is not present here. She is an assistant curator at Liverpool Berlinale, and she will join us before the start of the course. And recently she defended her thesis, and she is going to present this part of curatorial studies. And also I joined this case and as a teacher, and we developed a series of lectures and practical studies where we are going to review the issues such as post-colonial actions and curatorial studies. We will have some readings that is thinking about curatorial studies and inviting curators of a visual culture center that will share their experience in the realization of projects, and also practical aspects. And together with Elizaveta German, also we will be joined by other teachers who are present here, who worked on the development of the program, and this is practice and realization of curatorial studies. Our master's program is for 1.5 years, and in 1.5 years the student, the graduate, the master's should defend his curatorial study thesis. So the course that is called is History of the Modern Arts, and it will be presented by our colleague, and she's the candidate of philosophy, PhD. Thank you, Janina. This course is the broadest and the longest from the whole program that will be present in this program. This is the basis. This is the red line that crosses the whole program. And this is the basis for other courses, the basis of the profession and the approach to realization of exhibitions. And this is an integrated course. It is not separate, like in many universities when all courses are separated from one another. The most important thing is we cooperate with our colleagues and we try to take into account all the topics and aspects that will be discussed in other courses. That's why we will start the subject History of Modern Art, starting from invention of photography, starting from 1839 until today. And the project of Sher Kapoor and his project on Pinchuk Art Center, it starts our program, and this is the story and history of the history of photography of 20th and 21st century. Through lectures and through seminars, it's very important that this is delivered not only by me, but also there will be invited lecturers who will highlight some topics they specialize in, and half of time will be delivered for seminars and discussions of those issues that arise, and also discussions of critique that accompany the development of art in the 21st and 20th century. So this program, I have huge hopes for this program, because in Ukraine, and I can say that directly, there is no such a course, such a program in the universities, at state educational institutions, where this course is delivered at such a high level, and the arts process of 20th and 21st century is reviewed for 1.5 years as different levels of theory. Please join. Also, this will be the first master's program, Curator of Arts. There are no such instances in other educational institutions, no in private, no in state institutions, and of course in state institutions this is for the first time this course is introduced. So this history of modern arts, all the courses will be integrated, and all the teachers will help one another, and we work on this in our program in order that this program was natural, and maybe it won't be a classic program of the university. And one more important moment that will be introduced in the course is the course of Anton Lapov. This is museum studies and archives, and maybe Anton is going to tell us several words about it. And I would like to say that museum studies, and this is there is a tradition in higher education institutions to study this discipline, but of course, while developing this course, I tried to pay into account the specificity of modern art, and also post-Soviet context of museum studies and the present state of things in this area. That's why theoretical block will be composed of two large sub-blocks. One is connected with the historical aspects and basic definition, archive, collection, museum, and the other part. And there will be about archives, because the collection is not possible without archives. And I believe that chronologically we should go further, that modern period, and we should start with Sumer tables and modern archives, and knowing the origin of these notions, it will be easier for us to deal with modern collections and the definition what collection means. And we will speak about the origin of modern museum and the neoliberal model that is more characteristic of the Western cultures, and also some aspects of Soviet museum studies. And also on the basis of three categories I've mentioned, the archive, collection, and museums, we will overview different strategies of work of modern artists and curators with archives, collections, and museums. And also practical program is envisaged, and this is the majority of our classes. Of course, reading seminars on the basis of theoretical works, and also work in archives, museums, both passive and active practice. And I hope that we will be able to have meetings with Ukrainian artists, curators, who for the past time worked in the area of institutional criticism, working with archives and with those things that are connected with these important areas. So Anton is a specialist who worked in Lugansk Museum, and it was post-Soviet format of museum, and he made some introductions of curator practices there, and now he lives in Kiev. He is an independent curator and media artist. The next special course that will be integrated in the specialization is art critics and cultural journalism, and Vera Boldenyuk is responsible for this course, and she is the editor of online journal Curator, and she is PhD in the theory of literature. Thank you, Janina. Our course is how to write about culture. It composes of several main areas and will be integrated in the course that will be delivered by our colleagues. And the main task that I see is to show in what way critics bring artistic practices from the area of subjectivity to the objective reality. So how these texts become the matter of study and the background of the arts, and how we can work with this. So we may say about things how art critics appeared and what were the first examples of such critique, and also we will speak about personalities, about Western art critique, and also we will speak about Ukrainian context, modern arts, and about art critique as an influential area, and whether it should be only professional or it can be delivered to the public. And also curatorial text. We are going to analyze the notion, history, and also the examples of the text, the samples, and how the future specialists can model and write such texts. Also, during the practical studies, we are going to focus on the most interesting examples. There will be great names, Linda Krauss, Ganz Ulrich Abriss, Linda Nochlin texts, and of course one more direction, feminism criticism. And these lessons will be in the course of Elena Prodemka and other specialists. Also, we will have a lot of practice, how to write about culture, how to work with different genres, and how Curator can cooperate with cultural journalism and how he can be the author of these cultural popular texts and to bring his main idea to the public. And also we are going to speak about different genres and actual formats for the modern media. Also, we are going to speak about media cultural projects and their modern state, and also we will make an overview of the most interesting and most profound works in art critique. And also we will deal with Ukrainian context, of course. One more important aspect that is in our program that exists in different curatorial studies that exist in the West. So this is management and fundraising, because curators, and not only in Ukraine, even in Western Europe, Curator is often faced with the issue of managing his own project and fundraising also.
This component was responsibility of Irina Solovey. Listening to previous presentations, I understand that this course, cultural management and fundraising, where I will be a curator, my main task, I think, is so that they mastered a certain individual style to become curators themselves. To this end, they need to pass, to learn from us. We are the people who dared to take culture from closed environment to beyond the borders of cultural aspects to the society in general, so that the cultural space plays a social role to be the source of innovative impulses, which can even be of transformational nature for communities. To this end, we will be speaking about such components as trends which are inherent to national Ukrainian community and international community. For specialists who would like to master their own individual styles, they should master this, but at the same time they should understand institutional environment, how they work, how they can form a kind of ecosystem. Whether they are scenes of strict structure, which are transformed into strict structures, or they are more flexible. This is a component where we will frequently be talking about that the culture today is not renovation or enlightening. This is readiness to bear and to survive and to tolerate the complexity of contemporary world, and at the same time even to intervene through managed, controlled interventions in order to simulate, to transform the communities. which an individual cannot have such influence as groups. The experience of my organization allows us to focus this process around creative camp, creative town, creative community. I hope that all together we will cooperate so smoothly that the curators who will complete our course, they will empower themselves to bring other models to our society. We will live in beautiful cities, and the cities and towns will be in dialogue with each other, so we will empower them and provide enough knowledge so that they create themselves and are capable to transform, to contribute their individuality into transforming the community, the society. Studios of visual cultures and modern approaches and methods in cultural studies, axiological and historical studies of cultural phenomena, sociological cultural forecasting, and methodology of research, scientific research. They are also the courses which will be presented. And the other important question is about our Facebook website, and not about curriculum, but about some administrative matters, when to apply to us. So to give details of this, to give these details, Nadia is given the floor. She will tell more about organizational matters. As a representative of administration of the Faculty of Philosophic Science, I would like to present how educational courses look like in the educational environment. There are several trends. One in the private sector, when the group of experts propose programs, curriculums in the form of workshops, trainings, and other forms. The other is conventional education, private and state-owned, licensed and accredited with the Ministry of Education and Science. Higher educational institutions provide education, and this two trends, they compete one with another. This is healthy competition. I think that these experts environments, they offer professional and practical orientation and competence-based approach. When a student comes to such studies, he gains skills and knowledge he can use in further practices. Maybe we fairly criticize that we can't move enough fast not to lag behind. So our practice is sometimes outdated of what we train. I would like to explain, if this is a state-owned or private higher education institution, it is managed by the rules which are dictated to us, and up to a certain point of time in the past we had not been allowed to enter the changes. And this is the second year when we can already reform it, entrance to master's programs. At the faculty, when we discuss our in-house policy, we decided we would go further, and we would start local master's programs. And this is not easy because it is difficult to engage good professionals as lecturers of master's programs. But our willingness of culture science, culture studies department, this staff has already been formed in our culture studies department. They are good professionals, and in order to enter master's degree program where diploma is granted upon graduation of the Master of Cultural Science and the Curator. The professional tests are required. Applicants should pass the tests. Startup theory and startup practice. The tests are not just technical. Applicants should understand how responsible such tests are. The final goal should be understood. It was explained by the previous lecturer. This is to help a person to become an independent and professional curator. Applications and documents can be submitted from July 11th to July 20th. This is an optimum period so that we can answer all questions. The admission exams should be passed. The period is from July 21st to August 3rd. The law on higher education allows us to admit the students who has completed bachelor's studies, who has bachelor's diplomas, bachelor's degrees. The first test is universal for everyone. This is foreign language. Mostly this is English language, but French, Spanish, German language tests also may be passed. It depends on what is included in the applications. When filling the application, the language, specific language is filled in by the applicant. The exam consists of grammar test. An applicant also should demonstrate during interview about his forecast master's thesis, what it will be about. those applicants who has passed the first universal exam, then they can pass the second test, culture studies. Professional exam on culture studies arena will be the examiner who will test the applicants. This is professional exam. For those who have basic education on culture studies, then 2 exams is enough. The limits are starts from 124 scores if an applicant has passed exams with more than 124 scores, then he is admitted. I would like to add that this is important for those bachelors so that they can get master's degree. We can see here that the rating list will be announced not later than August 10th. This is important because some budget places which will be paid from national budget will be provided by the state for masters. So some applicants may get scholarships from the government. But still we don't have yet any official proof that such places for master's programs will be provided this year. How the rating will be calculated? The average score is important. The grade point and publications will also be taken into account. For example, professional articles, they provide 10 grades more in the rating. This also could be working experience of an individual, because our program is offered to already adult motivated persons who understand what they are going to do in their professional domain. Those willing to study, who has been working for a long time in this domain, then they can enjoy more grades in the rating for the working experience according to their profession. Then after August 10th and before August 20th, all the applicants who have passed exams with positive results, they pay money and enter into contracts with us. They can pay money later. As concerns the money, we know that the university it has strict financial requirements. We can't set prices on our own. we should consider energy costs, costs of materials, and inflation coefficients. So we suppose that the prices will be higher than in the previous years, but our policy at our faculty is that we lobby for not high prices. We understand that with the rise in prices in the country, but the lack of rise in salaries, people can't pay. That is why we try to prevent high rises in prices. Today I tried to find out what the price will be for daytime studies. This is 14,700 hryvnias, and for part-time nighttime training.
Якщо ми відкриємо такі топові провідні спеціальності, які сьогодні в країні, але якими перенасичений ринок, які потім складно знайти роботу, то ми можемо бачити 30 і 40 тисяч сьогодні коштує таке навчання у рік. Тим більше, що мені здається, що 10 тисяч, це 10-15 тисяч, це не є велика плата для такого рівня фахівців, які будуть читати лекції, так? Тому що це також важливо. І важливо те, що університет не зможе якось самостійно виплатити гонорари. Це все-таки буде державна платня. І тому фактично ці люди, які сьогодні до нас долучилися, які ось я вам щиро дякую, що ви фактично займаєтеся певним волонтерством і дійсно ідеєю розвитку цього руху в Україні. І мені здається, що ми зі свого боку, як адміністрація, створимо всі належні умови, щоб було комфортно навчатися і студентам, і також працювати і вам. У нас, можливо, не така досконала матеріальна база, але університет робить все необхідне, зокрема в гуманітарному корпусі, де відбувається навчання. Це вулиця Тургенівська, 8/14 в районі Площі Перемоги. На першому поверсі відкритий арт-простір «Скло». Це студентський такий майданчик, де вони майже щовечора збираються і то влаштовують виставки, то запрошують різні гурти, то лекції, воркшопи, тренінги, навіть такі, я дивлюся, іноді там арт-простір «Скло», бо все скляне, так, і пізно повертаюся додому, дивлюся такого західного, красивого типу заходи. І мені приємно, що ініціаторами всіх цих заходів є студенти саме відділення культурології, бакалаврату та магістратури нашого філософського факультету освіти і науки в університеті Михайла Петровича Драгоманова. Тому я щиро запрошую усіх на навчання. Я ще раз дякую усім, хто залучається до створення цієї програми. У нас високі вимоги щодо навчальних програм, щодо створення всього процесу, тому є деякі навіть бюрократичні моменти, і лектори змушені це витримувати, тому це дійсно річна підготовка, але я вважаю, що це та якість, на яку очікує не тільки наш університет, не тільки суспільство, але й держава, коли заявляє про реформування освіти, вищої освіти в цілому. Я щиро дякую.
Дуже дякую, Надія. Якщо у вас є питання, ми з задоволенням на них відповімо.
Колеги, чи є запитання або уточнення? Якщо є, чудово. Представляйтесь.
I'm Marina, and this year I graduated from the bachelor's program in arts. And I see that your program is interdisciplinary and has many directions that could be full-fledged specialities. And why did you focus on this curatorial matters? Why is it so important to develop this area of study? So, I am a specialist in this field. We have special courses. I didn't invent a bike, actually. And what I said, it is studied in the curatorial studies in the West, critical thinking, art critique, writing, creation of journalist texts and curatorial texts, history of modern arts and curatorial studies, management and fundraising, exposition studies and museum studies, all these and curatorial studies in the West. So we may say that it is partly some calc, but as I said, we will take into account our domestic context, our background, our art market, our cultural cluster, our cultural personalities, those events and people we include in this program, because we cannot just calc and loan the cultural experience. It is impossible. Otherwise, it will not be professional. And of course, each of this direction can be a separate specialty, but they are present in the framework of this training program. I believe that curator of modern art has to possess ecological thinking and interdisciplinary thinking. To model some programs, to create them, he has to synchronize many things, starting from management and fundraising to some specific knowledge, including some practices. I spoke about it already. This is understanding the complexity of the world, ability to synchronize things. So this is the main skills that will give the opportunity to curator to be productive and successful. I also want to answer this question. Why curators of modern art, not, for example, museum workers we try to create? Because today, modern cultural process is active and live and chaotic. That's why we need professional intervention that will place main focuses. I won't say ideal samples, but we should know about the context and what being curator means. Elizabeth German, who defended her thesis recently at the chair where I work at the National Academy of Arts and Architecture, I can say that the majority of people who were present during this event, they didn't understand what curator means. And many people call themselves curators. And this is a complex matter. And in order to make things clearer, to have a starting point, a point of reference, we should have it, this professional platform where we can discuss these issues, where people for 1.5 years will deal with these problems to identify what it means to be a curator today. This is very important. The moment of professionalism is very important, and all the components of the program, all the special courses, they have relationship to the activity of the curator. As Olga said, many people call themselves curators, but they do not understand what is a curatorial text, and usually they present press releases as curatorial texts, or they do not know the exhibition activity, and curator should understand this. And no one teaches this in Ukraine. That's why it's very good that the specialist can teach how to write, how to make exhibitions, how to fundraise, that they are gathered in one place and they will be able to help others. Do you have other questions? Please ask. So we have time, but do we have questions?
Дмитро Піркул, я опікуюсь.
Dmitro Pirkl. I'm dealing with decommunization of space. So we had some meetings, some events in the Museum of the History of Ukraine during the Second World War. And there were some documents of this period, and we have several internet resources, some media, and they only provided 1 minute in Fifth Channel they devoted to this event. And what is your opinion? When the cultural journalists will be able to present information in cultural media, some interesting modern moments, because we waste time. Society should discuss such issues. This is not the question, this is just information. Food for thought, in order to hear your opinion. Maybe this is a question to me, but if it's not a question, maybe I will tell, and I will say and comment on this. When will it happen? No one can guarantee. You said there were many cameras. It is unexpected for me because usually all presentations of important projects, cameras won't come. And if they were present, so it means that there is interest to such a topic. But maybe media didn't understand how to present this information and comment on it. Maybe the future is for independent platforms and those media, the main focus of which is on not on ideological things, but on the democratic discussion of the issues on the whole. So there are not many such platforms here in Ukraine, but what can be done? So cultural community can speak about it loud, raise these issues, the topic of decommunization and the Second World War and everything that is connected with it. They are discussed during meetings at cultural platforms, and I'm not very optimistic, but what I see today, change in some educational programs and the changes in the media, they find some sources for financing, they change some schemes how to communicate with the public, and maybe in the nearest future we will deal and we will communicate about these issues more. Also, I would like to say that in the framework of my course that will be connected with the cooperation with museums and people who will work in modern arts, maybe I will try to change the focus of the students from the work in the galleries, but to work in less conventional media, working in archives, and work where that is more connected with studies and installation of objects in the space. So there should be critical mass of curators and managers who will try to go beyond the framework of galleries. And there will be quality opponents or proponents of some ideas that will be at the level of historians and sociologists that can deal with the issues of the Second World War and to broaden some historic basis of study of such historical events of Second World War and other issues. So we discussed the issues of education today, and in many things we underestimate that education is a priority, and there are some models of education, information policy, and how and in what way this information will be provided, a reflexive model. So Ukraine is a transitional state. We want some events. We want to speak about some events. We want to attend. But how to educate people? How to raise the level of culture? This is the answer to the question of operational mechanism, how to do it, and without specialists, this process is impossible in the long-term perspective. That's why I have positive attitude towards the process. I have no pessimism because at the moment this is happening in all the sphere of our society. I mean, those changes. And it can't be that something will be in one sphere, and so we should go ahead with the time, and we should learn how to be participants of social processes, and we should do it professionally. Thank you.
There are no questions. That is why I would like to remind you that all information about us is available at the website Curator of Modern Art, Contemporary Art. You can read all the materials, and you can find out details about our staff, and find the information before admittance, before applying to this course of contemporary art studies. So please join us and apply to us. We invite you. On my part, I can tell you that we have also an email address which is also available on the internet, and I respond to all emails during previous application campaign. I am always on the line by telephone, always on the phone 24 hours a day, and I can also transfer